Chapter 6. In the Storm. Leatherhead is about 12 miles from Mayberry Hills, and we reached there at about 9 o'clock without any misadventure. My wife was curiously silent throughout the drive and seemed troubled with expectation of some evil. Had it not been for my promise to the innkeeper, she would have urged me to stay in Leatherhead that night. Her face, I remember, was very white as we parted. For my own part, I was feverishly excited all day. Something like a war fever had entered my blood. I was afraid that the last round of firing I had heard might mean the end of our invaders from Mars. I can express my mind by saying that I wanted to be in the face of death. I was nearly 11 when I began my return journey. I found Ripley Street deserted and the village showed no sign of life. As I ascended the little hill beyond Bayford Church, the red glare came into view again. Then came the silhouette of Maybury Hills, with its treetops and roofs black and sharp against the red. I felt a tug at the reins. I saw that the driving clouds were pierced by the green fire falling into the field to my left. It was the third falling star. The horse took the bit between his teeth and bolted. At first I regarded little but the road before me, and then abruptly my attention was arrested by something that was moving rapidly down the opposite slope of Mayberry Hill. It was an elusive vision, a moment of bewildering darkness, and then, in a flash like daylight, this object came out clear and sharp and bright. And this thing I saw, how can I describe it? A monstrous tripod, higher than many houses, striding over the young pine trees and smashing them aside. It was a walking engine of glittering metal. It seemed to move by tilting over on one metal leg, while two were raised in the air. Walking in this manner, it was able to gain nearly 300 feet with each step. Then suddenly, the trees in the pine wood ahead of me parted, and a second huge tripod appeared rushing, as it seemed, headlong towards me. At the sight of the second monster, my nerve went altogether. I wrenched the horse's head hard down to the night, and in another moment the tug turned over the cart, and I was flung sideways into a shallow pool of water. I crawled out almost immediately and crouched, my feet still in water. The horse lay motionless, his neck was broken. In another moment, the thing went past me, striding towards Barford. Seen nearer, the thing was incredibly strange, for it was no mere automatic machine driving on its way. It picked its road as it went striding along, and its hood moved to and fro with the suggestion of a head looking about. In an instant, it was gone, and in another minute, it was with its companion, half a mile away, stooping over something in the field. I have a doubt this thing in the field was a third of the 10 cylinders they had fired at us from Mars. A thin hail was now beginning, and I was soaked. I crawled, wet and shivering, to the cover of the trees. I had a vague idea of going to my house. Had I fully realized the meaning of all the things I had seen, I would have gone back to join my wife at Leatherhead. But that strangeness of things about me, my own miserable condition, prevented me. I reached my house. After coming upon a dead man, a strongly sturdy man, who lay crumpled up and close to the fence, as though he had been flung violently against it. I let myself in and bolted the door behind me. I collapsed at the foot of the staircase, shivering violently at the thought of those metallic monsters and the dead man who lay by the fence. For he was the owner of the spotted dog whose cart I had taken. After some time, I got up, went into the dining room, and drank some whiskey. Then I changed my clothes and went to my study. From my window, I could see that the towers of the Oriental College and the pine trees about it had gone. Very far away, lit by the vivid red glare, The common above the peak was visible. Across the light, huge black shapes, monstrous and strange, moved to and fro. It seemed the whole country in that direction was on fire. Several houses along the Maybury Road cut the streets near the station were glowing ruins. The railway light revealed a wrecked train, the four parts smashed and on fire, the back carnages still upon the rails. I could see no people at first. Later, I saw against the light of walking station a number of black figures hurrying one after the other across the line. And this was the little world in which I had been living securely for years. Seated in my desk chair, turned towards the window, I watched the three legged metallic monsters and wondered, what can they be? Were they intelligent mechanism or did the Martian sit within each, ruling, directing, using much as a man's brain sits and rules his body? I heard a slight scraping at the fence, and looking down, I saw a soldier enter my garden. At the sight of another human being, I was active again and called him in. What has happened? I asked. What hasn't? He said would disappear. They wiped us out, simply wiped us out. I gave him some whiskey which he drank. Then he sat down before me across the table and began to sob and weep like a little boy. Finally, he told me his story. He was a driver in the artillery and joined the action at about 7 that evening. At that time, firing was going on across the common, and it was said that the Martians were crawling slowly towards their second cylinder under cover of a metal sheet. Later, this shield staggered up on three legs and became the first of the fighting machines I had seen. As the soldiers tried to work their gun, there was an explosion and everything blew up. The soldier found himself lying under a heap of dead men and horses. We have been wiped out, he said again. He saw the monster rise to its feet. A kind of arm carried a metallic case, and out of the funnel of this case there smoked the heat ray. This monster left nothing, not a living thing upon the common, and every tree and bush was left burning from this day. The monster did not stop there and went right on to walking station and its clusters of houses there. Turning its back on the artilleryman, the giant began to walk towards the second cylinder. As it did so, a second glittering titan popped out of the pit. The second monster followed the first, and at that the artilleryman began to crawl very cautiously across the hot heather ash towards horses. He managed to move into the ditch by the side of the road and so escaped walking. He hid among heaps of broken wall as one of the Martian giants returned. He saw this giant pick up a man in one of its steely tentacles and knock his head against the trunk of a tree. At last, after nightfall, the artilleryman managed to come up to my house. I gave him food to eat, and we went up to my study and looked out of the open window. In one night, the valley had become the valley of ashes. Never before in the history of warfare had destruction been so indiscriminate and universal. And shining with the growing light, three of the metallic giants stood above the pit, their hoods rotating as though they were surveying the desolation they had made. It seemed to me that the pit had been enlarged, and puffs of vivid green vapor streamed out of it towards the sky world and vanished